We'll go ahead and call the January 27th City Commission meeting to order. If you would, please stand for the invocation, and I would like to invite Pastor Terry with the Father's House to pray, and then we'll do the pledge.
Our Father in heaven, hallowed be thy name. We thank you tonight, first of all, for this great nation that we live in. Thank you for our freedoms. We thank you for our elected officials. We thank you for this commission. And we pray, Lord, that you would be with every decision that's made tonight, that it would honor you in all things. We pray that this city may continue to be a city that shines forth your light, that cares for people and makes a difference. And we'll give you thanks in your name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Pastor Terry. And before we move on, I just wanted to let the audience know we will be pulling items 6A6, 6A7, and 6A8. The applicant has asked for that to be pulled, and it will be postponed till the 24th meeting of February.
We might need to open and close that.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we can open and close it, and then we'll need
so
to
we'll wait
list
to those times.
time, date, and location for the continuance. Yes, sir, that's fine.
All right, we'll do that at a later date. We have a proclamation for Lone Oak. I'll go ahead and read those into the record. Office of the Mayor, Leesburg, Florida proclamation. Whereas Lone Oak Cemetery of the city of Leesburg is the historic site of the city's first churches, school, and burials, the first recorded in 1867. And whereas the Board of Trustees is sponsoring a moonlight tour of Lone Oak Cemetery on February 13th, 2025. And whereas by honoring historical sites of early homesteaders, we are stimulating public interest in early Leesburg. And whereas it is fitting that all people recognize the importance of this historic site as a part of our city's heritage. Now, therefore, I, Alan Reisman, Mayor of the City of Leesburg, Florida, do hereby proclaim February 13th, 2025 as Lone Oak Cemetery Heritage Day and encourage its support and observance throughout the city as a means of gaining public interest in this historic, patriotic, cultural, and educational aspects of that most significant era in the formation of our great city. Get up, come up here, and we'll get over here.
I guess.
Next, we'll move to the presentations. We have a water and wastewater impact fee analysis update by the city manager. Do we have the...
Okay. Good evening, distinguished members of the commission. Cliff Kelsey, Director of Public Works. Just a quick update on where we're sitting at with our water and wastewater impact fees. So we've been keeping a close eye on these over the years as development comes through and as prices in construction and capital expenditures go up. So next slide, Anna. First slide, just a quick background on the legislation guiding the use of impact fees. The key takeaways are there to accommodate new growth and maintain adequate service levels for our current customers, and what we're trying to prevent is a reduction in service level. So this slide basically tells us how impact fees are based and how they are supposed to be used by municipalities. So they're based on the estimated capital requirements for support new growth and development. And the fee should not be used for capital deficiencies for existing customers, so not our current infrastructure that is in disrepair. Next slide. So from our point of view, we just did a quick estimate of where we should be at. This is very rudimentary. So if you look at current construction costs for a water treatment facility, it's on average of $7 a gallon. And if we look at our growth forecast, this is based on 10,000 new homes in the plans for future development. That would give us 3 million gallons a day requirement at one ERU of 300 gallons per day per single family home. So if you take $7 a gallon times 3 MGD, you get about $21 million. Divide that by the 10,000 homes, you're roughly looking at $2,100 for your water impact fee. Our current water impact fee sits at $1,175. So now if we look at wastewater, same basic math, we're looking at $25 a gallon for construction costs. And we have a smaller ERU per single family home, 250 gallons per day. That gives us a 2 million gallon per day deficiency. So multiply the $25 per gallon times 2.5 million gallons a day, you're looking at $62.5 million. And then divide that by the 10,000 homes, your impact fee would roughly be $6,250. Ours sits at $2,778. So looking at this, we're well over the 100% increase. So what do we do about this? Of course, we're always tracking it. We're always looking at it. We're always looking at our 5-year capital program. So the next step is, hey, let's get the experts in this to do some analysis for us. They're going to look at, they're going to do a more scientific analysis. They're going to go through our entire program, our asset management program, and see just where we're at. One of the contractors that we use to do these things, we have a continuing services contract with Jones Edmonds. They know our system very well. We use them for our wastewater flow modeling and a lot of stuff that we can't do organically. Right, next slide. So what's the way forward? What's the timeline from here? So we're looking at a scope of work to look at our impact fees, do the analysis, issue a notice to proceed to Jones Edmonds, which we have already done. That's where we're at presently. So we're in the 2 weeks of data collection. We're collecting all our information that requires them to do their analysis. We'll download it to them. They'll do their data analysis and computations, take them about 2 to 4 weeks. And this is progressively. So you go 2 weeks and then another 2 to 4 weeks. And then they'll issue us a final report of summary of findings and recommendations, which would be another 2 to 3 weeks. And then we're looking at a presentation to put it together, have them come brief commission on what they found and what they recommend. And then at that point, it will be up to the body to amend the impact fee ordinance, codify, or do nothing, or whatever decision the body makes. And that's all I have, unless there's any questions.
Go back one more. Okay. We kind of skipped over the money there real quick.
Yes, sir. I went a little fast. So basically,
I'll throw it in there. It in there. So basically, essentially, here's where we're at. And there's a couple of things I wanted to add to Cliff's presentation. So one, we want to go from, if you scroll back a little more, and that's good. So that number's our current. That's our solid way, or that's our wastewater impact fee. So every residential unit that comes into town, they have to pay the city $2,778 to hook up to the system. That's the number specifically that we're focused on, where we think, Cliff and I, on our math there, that number needs to go up from about the $2,700 number to about the $6,200 number. So that's the math that we want to double check. Impact fees obviously are a lightning rod type issue on both sides of the equation. I think if you talk to me and Cliff and pin us down, we will admit you got to have impact fees to defray the cost of development on your system. The trick is, though, that impact fees are monitored and watched probably more so, I think, by the development world to ensure that the fee that you're charging is corresponding to actual costs. So that's the biggest reason that we want to take this from Cliff and I's Cliff Notes to Jones Edmond, who's our professional engineers who deal with us on this basis. So to transfer this into more of a study, that the cost is 50 grand. And the cost is 50 grand, 25 on the water side, 25 on the sewer side, which is a good number, which is within my spending authority. So barring you all saying, stop, don't do it, we want to keep the impact fees where they're at, we're going to endeavor to go ahead and get that done. And then we'll bring back to you the timeline that Cliff brought, a report from Jones Edmonds with a recommendation from them that we think is going to corroborate what we think our rough house number is. It may be more, it may be less, but with that, the fees don't go up until an ordinance comes back to you. So expect a report from Jones Edmonds, and then that would be followed up by an ordinance, I hope within the time frame that Cliff provided on that other slide.
Can I ask you a quick question? How long ago, when's the last time we increased or decreased or changed our impact fees? How long has that been?
Not since I've been here.
So how-
that's
I mean, I
over
want that on the
11
record,
years,
yeah.
so a long time.
Yeah, long time, different dollars.
Way
Understand that.
different dollars and way different growth
Okay,
aspects.
yeah.
So having said that, there are a couple of things I wanted to add to Cliff's presentation, kind of just for your consideration. I don't think our current water, sewer, electric infrastructure, and for the most part gas is a little bit of a different creature, have significant problems with growth. And let me explain in more detail. On average, we use that 300 gallons a day on water. So you divide basically our consumptive use or the residual by that. And there's about 8,000 units left-ish in our CUP. The second thing, sewer's a little bit less, $1.50 or so, or $2.50 is what we use on that. So we still have considerable time on that. And again, so that would be the 250 divided by the number of units and the capacity which we're going to build to the sewer plant. So long story short, on the water side of the house and the sewer side of the house, I feel extremely confident that at the current growth rates, which I'm going to talk about here in a second, match what we're doing. Okay, meaning the pioneering agreements that we've done to date and the growth rates that we've seen to date really securely gets the city from today to 2030. So if we start talking major expansions of the plant, major expansions of water treatment, I mean, we're really talking, we don't need to talk about those things until 28, 29. That's based on the growth rates that we see that have impacted the systems that we're required to do. So what I just say in English means? All the growth, not including the villages. Okay, so if you look at the growth charts, if you look at one chart every month that comes out in the monthly reports, not Robert's report, so to speak, but the department head one that's, you go through, look at the growth chart. It's prepared by Dan Miller and Ann Kinsey, and it shows the single family units by month. Okay, so single family units by month, not including the villages, is only averaging about 35 units a month. That's the key number for right now. So even though we've got
And for the audience's benefit, I want to be sure they understand that's certificates of occupancy.
certificate,
Okay.
yeah, so that's how we're counting it. So what we do, we issue a start, if you will, a residential start, and we issue a certificate of occupancy. And those numbers, they pretty much match. There's a variance, a little bit of a delta in it, but, on the number I'm telling you, on average from 19, 20, 21, 22 through 24, so through just last month, our numbers never really exceeded over 40 units a month. That is a relatively slow growth rate. I know that's contrary to what comes before you. I get it. I understand it. But we have not seen significant non-villages numbers, but for in our history, but for when Lake Denham came in at 80 units. So is it a matter of time? When does that number pop up? You know, it's anybody's guess. But there is a significant lag in approvals versus build outs. So at the current pace, you know, you would take that 40 units a month, divide it by 40,000. And if we continue at 40 units a month, that's like 85 years before all of those are built out. And so 85 years also way exceeds the 4 years before that PUD expires. Does growth pick up? Does it not pick up? I don't know. But obviously, you continue to get petitioned with development requirements, which are a quasi-judicial requirement for y'all. So we have to manage those. We have to follow the law when you manage those. And for now, probably the next 5 years or so, our window of development and seeing that number increase, I don't think outpaces the capacities that we're building or have built. So that's a good thing. Developers have already approached us in reference to new pioneering agreements, which I have not processed because we don't have the funds to cover what we aren't prepared to build. And so what we are prepared to build is the 2 MGD that we have in our CUP for water, consumptive use permit and water. And in March of this year, we'll have probably in excess of 2.5 MGD at the sewer plant. Is that about right? Round numbers?
October is when we'll finish the turnpike.
October?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we also have a means to get the wastewater to the sewer plant. With a stopgap was Lift Station 72. The future is the pioneering agreement that we did with NVR Homes, which was the Bar Key subdivision, which was the $15 million sewer main, where we pledged the impact fees to cover that sewer main extension. And then we had existing fees that covered our plant expansion. On the water side of the house, we can manage 9 CUP if we have to pump that. And the water tower, or the tank that we put in at Highland Lakes, give us the pressures that we need on the south side of town. We probably will have to revisit the size of the pipe between about 33 and 48 that needs increase. That was about $1 million project. Because those growth numbers haven't expanded, we kicked that can a little bit. The other thing I also note too is our policy for developers has been and will continue to be, unless the commission directs us differently, is first come, first serve. Mind you, that is different than your quasi-judicial responsibility to hear subdivisions. So when subdivisions come in and they're asking for an entitlement, and you approve a subdivision of X units or don't approve a subdivision of X units, that still does not provide an entitlement on the developer. The next step for a developer after they've gone through the PUD phase is to develop. When they develop, they then have to go through a series of all sorts of other requirements through our development review committee. We have to check off boxes on, do we have capacity? Is it at the plant? Do we have the water? And so right now we're checking those boxes, yes. But those yeses turn to nos when we hit those unit counts. So it's about 8,000 units on sewer, and it's about 2,000 units on water. And believe it or not, we haven't hit those numbers yet. If we continue at the current pace, that's where, we're looking at 2030 before at least the water capacity potentially expires. So from a water sewer standpoint, electric standpoint, I think we're in good shape, but we do need to look at impact fees. We continue to progress this. If the stuff on the books does grow, we're going to need higher impact fees, and that's really the cause of this. So before we go off, start working with Jones Edmonds ad nauseum on this impact fee, I wanted to bring it to your attention. The other thing in there too to point out was the 50 grand gets us started. I really kind of want to see where Jones Edmonds goes with the recommendation. The next concern on that, which would increase that fee, is if we have to increase our fees beyond 50%, which Cliff and I suspicion that we do, then we'll have to do different studies pursuant to the statute. What was it, Grant? A year or so ago, the state, or
Yeah, it
maybe
was-
2
it was
years
about a
ago,
year ago,
the
yeah.
state changed the law on the increase of impact fees. So that's a significant thing for the audience to remember. The state changed the requirement for impact fees. So where is that coming from? That's coming from the development lobbyist. And I think that's important to remember too, because the law is also written in favor of the developers. So there's a whole nother power out there besides this body that controls growth at Tallahassee, that our hands are tied. And I bring that up because that body, the state legislature, changed the rules on how municipal corporations increase your impact fees. And that is, if you increase it over 50% in 1 year, there's a whole litany of things that you have to do. So Cliff and I will be working with Jones Edmonds to endeavor to do that. We will try to get back a reasonable estimate on where sewer impact fees goes. If we need above the 50% level, then we'll have some more homework to do before we do that. But I'll also say I don't think we're going to be in a position to issue out any more pioneering agreements until we're really set with where the impact fee is, because the next piece of the puzzle is going to be not only to expand. I say that, so in easy language, everything I'm saying is right now on the sewer and the water side of the house, I think we're set, because the improvements that we put in hold us for a reasonable amount of time with the infrastructure improvements, the new infrastructure improvements we've made, and the units that are in the south side of Leesburg that will connect. As those numbers continue to increase, now we're looking at different things, such as now we don't have treatment capacity, so that's affecting our impact fee. So therefore, it needs to go up. So long story short, we really do need to take a look at our impact fees. We really do need to do this study. And in the next several weeks, we need to bring you an ordinance that ultimately increases the fees.
Al, I also had a question. If you look at Lake County in general, where do we rank with regard to our impact fees? So just so everybody knows.
We're pretty much the least expensive. So most other communities probably looking at impact fees on the sewer side in the neighborhood of about $5,000 a unit and $3,750-ish on the water side of the house.
Gotcha. Thank you.
At no ours, $2,700 and $1,500.
You're going to look at, will this study also look at police and fire impact?
We talked about that earlier today, Commissioner. I think it's something that you all probably should engage us to do. We haven't in this, but it's probably something we do need to look at as well. So if you want me to start grabbing some numbers on a fire police impact fee study, I think it's probably something we need to throw in the hopper. That's good.
Al, I understand the pioneer agreements. The presentation talks about the facilities, the water facility, the sewer facility. Are you capturing the other infrastructure, water pipes, sewer pipes that are going to be increased? Is that captured in this analysis? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, I
You want
thought
more
it was. I just wanted to be
explanation,
sure.
or is yes good?
That's perfect. That's perfect.
But I feel obligated to tell you because. So, and that was kind of goes back to this. So the impact fee is broken down into how much does it cost to, there's two components. How much does it cost to treat water or wastewater? How much does it cost to distribute or collect water or wastewater? To today's prices, divided amongst what you think you'll be serving in your district. The ISBAs have been extremely helpful with that because we know exactly the area that we'll be serving. We know where the modern day costs are. We haven't done this exercise in forever. So the cost of pipe, the cost of asphalt, because if you cut a road, you got to fix a road. The cost of buying land, the cost of buying steel, all that is part of the matrix that goes into how much it costs to do this. So the thing that's been, I would say, easily about our impact fees, at least on the sewer side of the house, is it covers collection or treatment. It didn't cover both. Because we had the Villages expansion and we were able to receive some dollars, we were able to make system improvements at the treatment plant that didn't impact the ratepayer, that allowed us to do pioneering agreements with impact fees that covered the infrastructure, the collection infrastructure. Once we did that last impact fee, that last impact fee agreement, you add up the numbers of units that are embedded in the pioneering agreements, we've hit our max. If I was a gambling man, I don't think we'll see development of those in the next 5 years. I mean, the world could change tomorrow and we could go and, we could start going, having crazy building numbers. We haven't seen it to date. And that's where we're at for now.
Any other commissioner comments? Do you need anything from us, Al?
As a side comment or question to you, Al, you talked about 35 COs approximately
Ish,
a
yeah.
month?
Yeah.
Okay. So how does that rank with the rest of the county?
I'm gonna find out. I'll
Like to know, yeah.
I know a few of you have spoken to me privately, Commissioner Peterson, Mayor Reisman, Commissioner Burry, about different things. And one of the things that we will do as a staff level is we're gonna present a presentation to you all on growth impacts. We'll shoot to get that in February. I bring that up because there's a lot of moving parts in all of this. Y'all have been bombarded with different questions and comments, and obviously the PUDs keep coming. That is not of staff making, that is the economy, and Leesburg is obviously in the crosshairs of development. When it occurs is anybody's guess. But I think that data will be important. I think it guides. And so part of that is to go back and review some of the things that we don't control, which is collector roads and impact fees. We don't control school board. There's some the school board actually is, with our concurrency issues, is pretty good at calculating who's been issuing what. My guess is that our 40 units a month is probably on the low side in Lake County. My guess is it's probably lower than the county itself. That's speculation.
Like to know that.
I will
Yeah.
dig up those facts
I
and have it
appreciate
for you in about a month's time. And obviously the Villages changed everything. The Villages has touched Lake County in the past 15 years twice now, in Fruitland Park and as well as Leesburg. And frankly, I don't think any development engine matches that engine as far as speed. So if you go back and you look at our development, the Villages, so our development, about 40 units a month. Villages pace was 250 a month, 250 to 300 a month. And that's actually increased. Corey Goffert, our gas director, has actually been dealing with that because of our partnership with the Villages over in Sumter County. So honestly, I think, I don't mean this in a positive or negative way. The Villages is special. The engine that they have on development, I don't think is matched really by any municipal corporation, private, municipal corporate private developer, meaning KB Homes or whatever. I don't think anybody's that fast. Again, I don't think you see Leesburg numbers getting up above 75 units a month, perhaps. But even today, when you look at the things that we've approved and what's being constructed, we're still only about 3 major subdivisions under works as we're talking. So I want to grab all that data together.
Good.
I'll present it to you. It'll have road data, it'll have school data, it'll have permit data, have our data, and just kind of lay it out for you, because I think those are the principles that have guided a lot of staff recommendation and those type of things, and hopefully answer some questions
Thank
for
you.
the public.
I got a question. Other than the Villages, what other city would you say greater than 40 units a month, to give a measure?
I'll say the other faster cities
Yeah.
would be Claremont and unincorporated Claremont.
And what average would you say that
I don't know.
Okay.
I would say Groveland is faster than we are. I would say Mascot and Mineola are also faster than us. So, I mean, I would just encourage folks to take trips down to South County and look at 50. Encourage folks to look at 19. 565, and those other areas where growth has hit the county, I think, a little bit faster than us.
It'll probably be in your analysis or report, but could you update the status of all these developments? I mean, I know, but for the benefit of the public, I mean, I'm referring to, you just mentioned 3. When you say 3, those 3 have moved dirt.
Yeah, I would, look, we have starts all the time, but I would say the primary starts from where electric is working and where you see actual dirt move is, and this is not scientific, but Blue Cedar is one subdivision that just, I think that was 50 acres? How many acres? About 100?
Forget the exact.
300 units in certain acreage, then they clear cut. They were underneath 50 because it didn't, what, Cliff? What were you saying?
I think it's 105 units.
105, well, don't know what units number it is. It's on my wall in my office. But Blue Cedar is one that's moving.
That's south.
Way south, way south Leesburg, right. If you're headed south, it'll be on the east side of the road, right before you get to Royal Highlands, right after the Orlando Health Clinic. That is clear cut. They look like they're moving. Silver Lake Point, which, look, staff levels, we all, and especially I know I do struggle with. When it comes before you, it's typically named after a property owner, Romac Ostrander, and then it gets changed over when it hits DRC from the applicant's name to the development's name. So Silver Lake Point is one that's on the move. It's affect the electric fund. The old golf course is another one that's starting to be on the move. And that's Silver Lake Estates or something. Those 3 are on the move. Swan Capital and what's the other one over there? Orange Bend's starting a little bit, but they seem to start and not start. Marchand seems to start and not start. But I would, and there's a couple other little ones, but as far as some major ones, those would be the 3 that I would point your attention to, because that we, just. You really don't see, I don't think you really can count on the development until they're actually broke ground. I mean, so Dan's been talking to Orange Bend forever, and, Tierra Oaks is another great example of someone who rattles sabers and then, start, stop. But those ones I named are probably the ones that I would say, yep, that's on the move, and maybe a couple of smaller ones in Sleepy Hollow.
Any other commissioner comments? Thank you, Cliff and Al, for your presentation, and we look forward to getting that presentation in February. We're going to move on to the public comment section. This section is reserved for members of the public to bring up matters of concern or opportunities for praise. Please note that issues raised during this time will not be discussed in detail during the current meeting. They will either be referred to the appropriate staff or scheduled for consideration at a future City Commission meeting. Each speaker is allocated 3 minutes to provide their comments. Kindly adhere to this time limit to ensure equal opportunity for all participants and to support the efficient conduct of the meeting. Thank you. And when you come up, would you please state your name and address for the record? Thank you.
Hello, I'm Caroline Van Dyken. I'm at 120 Palmora. Again, I'm a little late to the party as far as the fluoride, but I'm really not here to talk about the fluoride. I've actually been concerned about the city water in general, just looking at how things are changing and how we're talking about forever chemicals. And I heard the whole argument about the 300,000 losing it. Do we put fluoride? Do we not put fluoride in? But what I'm just trying to understand as a concerned citizen and someone who wants the best for my city is the forever chemicals. Are we using some of these methods out there that they talked about, like the extra carbon, the granular activated carbon that can treat these forever chemicals. And I know that would be something extra that we would do something to our water. And again, it would come at a cost. And I was just kind of thinking, did we have those discussions before we started talking about adding fluoride in? Now, I'm not an expert on fluoride. I mean, there's a lot of us, we're not. We know what it is, we know it. But looking at it, we know if we get too much of it, it's bad. And then, of course, we need it because we want healthy teeth. But understanding that, as a citizen, I can't filtrate that out if I decide I don't want it, unless I go out and spend $5,000 on an osmosis system to put in my home to get rid of the fluoride, because my Brita water container is not going to take the fluoride out for me. Those are just some of my concerns, and like I said, I'm on the fence as far as fluoride, but what I'm not on the fence about is the forever chemicals. And just looking at some of our numbers out there that's online, that's generated by some of the companies out there, and then looking at our water information that was submitted for 2023 that we can access through the city, and I appreciate that. And just wanting to know when we can see our next submittal, because it's now 2025, so now we need to see, I'm sorry, it was 2023 that's online. So looking at when we should get our 2024 look of our water and how many forever chemicals are in there and what is our level, because right now it kind of seems like our levels are right there at some of the highest levels that we have, and that's concerning. So when you start thinking about, all right, we have these extra chemicals, then we're going to put fluoride in, and we have all this stuff. Maybe it's not just one thing, but it's all this stuff added together. And I don't know about you guys, but I read labels at the grocery store now, and it's so hard to find non-GMO stuff. And we start adding all these chemicals up in our body, and it's no wonder that within 10-mile radius, I have so many friends that have breast cancer. And you start to think, is it in the water? So that's just my 2 cents, and something to be concerned about. You guys are elected to think about that kind of stuff, and I just wondered if it was thought about when the whole fluoride thing was brought up. Thank you.
I think the city manager would like to.
Okay.
Yeah, and I don't mean to be wordy, but again, this body's kind of been inundated with different concerns, and I'm going to use the word conspiracy theories and all these things, and I think the times here, especially with the potential appointment of RFK Jr. To the federal government level to talk about health things, has really stirred up a lot of concern. In my professional opinion, it stirred up a lot of concern needlessly, and I won't take those remarks back. I think the way you check your local government is to be in touch with their elected bodies, be in touch with their city manager, be in touch with their public works director. This city, like every other city in the state of Florida, is regulated by the health department on our water. On an annual basis, we have to do an annual water report. So some of the numbers that she's saying where we're super high at, I don't know what the reference is, because our water report numbers have been extremely good. She mentions carbon. And I want to digress on this a little bit, because there's essentially 2 water treatment processes that the nation uses. One is a reverse osmosis process that we here in Florida do not deal with. In Florida, we have pretty much a pure water system. We pump out of the aquifer, we put it into our systems, we throw it over a filter bed, we aerify it, we inject it with chlorine, we send it out into the system. And that is pretty much the standard treatment process for public water systems in the state of Florida. We're blessed with the aquifer. As the aquifer gets strained, I think that the water professionals, and strained, what I mean by consumption, will go to lower levels. And what we find at lower levels may be some type of additional treatment process, but no near the level of a reverse osmosis system. So a reverse osmosis system you're going to find pretty much in the rest of the United States, where they don't have spring water as their source and they use rivers or reservoirs or what have you. And that's a system that's very similar to your wastewater treatment system, where you bring in water into a flocculation basin, you add carbon and lime and alum to it to create a floccule. That floccule drops, and so you pre-treat the water, and carbon is one of those chemicals that's used in surface water treatment, not typically found in well water treatment. We don't use carbon here in Leesburg. I can assure folks that our water's safe, our water is consumable, and will continue to be so and meet the standards of the American Water Works Association, as well as the Department of Health, even after we've injected fluoride into it. So I think those are the important things to remember. I know folks are reading a lot of things online and different stuff. I understand the worry, but really the best source is to come talk to Cliff or come talk to me, and we'll get you in touch with water professionals. We'll give you tours of our water plant if you'd like to see how it works. But the guys who put together, the guys and ladies who do our water do a fantastic job, and to date we've had no issues with water.
No, I'm not bad mouthing our water. I'm not bad mouthing our city, and I do know that yes, it meets all the standards. It does. I just want it to be better.
In regards to the report, maybe you can get with Cliff Kelsey in the back and he can get you the
Okay.
newest report.
All right.
Thank you, Ms. Van Dyken. Any other public comments? Yes, sir. If you would just state your name and address for the record.
My name is Alan Foote, and I live at 6030 Hunters Ridge Avenue in Legacy of Leesburg. Back in November, I approached the commission about the hurricane damage at Shady Oak Cemetery and requested to see if we could get something done to clear up 2 major oak trees that were down. I just want to give my thanks because it was done expeditiously, and the cemetery looks fantastic. And now I can continue. I do genealogy research throughout the county, mainly Leesburg, and I'm, with Shady Oak being in District 1, I'm working on assistance in genealogy research there. So it helps me. With the thank of Commissioner Berry, I've been able to make some contacts to learn about, the cemetery and the people within the community. And now I can move on to my other projects, which I do unkept cemeteries, neglected cemeteries. And so far, the only other one I can come up with are just outside the city limits, and they're in the county. So those are my next projects, as well as working with Lone Oak Cemetery with theirs. But again, I just wanted to thank the commission.
Thank you for the compliment, Mr. Foote. We have the best of the best when it comes to our Public Works Department.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other public comments? Move on to the consent agenda. Routine items are placed on the consent agenda to expedite the meeting. If the commission or staff wish to discuss an item, the procedure is as follows. 1, pull the item or items from the consent agenda. 2, vote on the remaining items with a roll call vote. 3, discuss each item pulled and vote by roll call. Are there any items the commissioners would like to pull?
5C7.
5C7. Any other items? Can I get a motion to approve all remaining items?
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call.
Commissioner Connell,
Yes.
Commissioner Burry,
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson,
Yes.
Commissioner Berry,
Yes.
Mayor Reisman.
Yes. Would someone please introduce 5C7 to be read?
Reduced and asked to be read by title only.
Resolution of the City Commission of the City of Leesburg, Florida, authorizing the mayor and city clerk to execute a memorandum of understanding, MOU, between the City of Leesburg and the Lake Community Action Agency, Inc., for the home repair grant program and providing an effective date.
Second. So I'm the one who pulled this. I'm okay with this project entirely. My question was, I didn't see this in years past, the $4,000 fee. And
That's why.
you knew I was gonna
That's
bring that up.
exactly why I put it back on, because you did see it in years past.
We did. It was in years past?
Yes. So last year when we started the home grant, we came before the commission and said, man, there's a bunch of stuff that goes along with this, the inspections of it, the organizing of the contractors and subcontractors, and the other grant dollars that are matched with our dollars. And we did that with the Lake Community Action Agency. I felt because we expanded that program this year from to the $600,000 level, I think from the,
300.
what was it? Was it 300 last year? I just wanted to let you know that we'll be doing that again. So this is an agreement that basically does year 2. I think we left the term clause in that a little bit more open, so we won't need to necessarily come back to you if there's a year 3 on that. We'll continue to use Lake Community Action as that group. And next week, they'll be making a presentation to y'all to show you the success from year 1. So I wanted to put this on the radar in case that question came up, to let you know that there is a $4,000 cost. That's part of the grant. And again, like we did last year, assuming you approve this agreement, Sandra Wilson's in the process now of really pulling the folks that we missed from last year and then adding to it. So we'll bring you the new grants individually, just like we did last year, and then that's where once we approve that grant agreement, then it's wrapped in with the help from Lake Action Community Agency, and then that's where that inspection and administrative fee is weaved in.
You answered my question. Thank you, Al.
Any other commissioner comments? Public comments? Oh, sorry, Commissioner.
I'd just like to add on that comment. Hopefully, after the presentation, others will be interested after seeing the before and afters for the first phase, the first year, excuse me. Hopefully, others will join.
Very good.
It's going to affect 24 houses, right? Isn't that the number?
That's
So
yes.
It's important for the public to know that removing blight from 24 homes, important thing. So.
Any other commissioner comments? Public comments on this item? Seeing none, roll call.
Commissioner Burry?
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson?
Yes.
Commissioner Berry?
Yes.
Commissioner Connell?
Yes.
Mayor Reisman?
Yes. We'll move item to 6, public hearings and non-routine items. I would ask the city attorney if you would swear in any people for this tonight.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor, thank you. All members of the audience and staff members who are here and prepared to testify on second readings, items 6A5, Sunnyside View rezoning, 6A8, Cronin Dewey Robbins SPUD, and first reading item 6B3, Silver Springs PUD. If you would please stand and raise your right hand so we can get you all sworn in. All right. Do you swear or affirm that all testimony you'll give tonight will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? I do. All right. Thank you. All right, Mr. Mayor, all set.
Would someone please introduce 6A1 and 2 to be read by title only?
I'll introduce, ask to be read by title only.
6A1, an ordinance amending the future land use map of the comprehensive plan of the city of Leesburg, changing the future land use map designation of certain property containing 131.5 plus minus acres from general commercial, transitional, institutional, recreation, and low-density residential to downtown mixed use for properties generally located south of the Leesburg Wildwood Trail and West Line Street, east of Perkins Street, Euclid Avenue, and South 9th Street, north of West Dixie Avenue, East Dixie Avenue, and that portion of Pine Street lying east of Child Street and west of Rambo Street. Properties lying west of Rambo Street, south of a portion of East Main Street that lies west of Rambo Street and east of North Canal Street, and properties lying west of that portion of North Canal Street, north of East Main Street, and south of the Leesburg Wildwood Trail, as legally described in sections 23, 25, and 26, Township 19 South, Range 24 East, lying in Lake County, Florida, and providing an effective date. 6A2, an ordinance of the City of Leesburg, Florida, amending the city's comprehensive plan, future land use element, Goal 1, Objective 1.1, Item H, downtown mixed use, to allow the expansion of the existing downtown mixed-use future land use designation, providing for conflict, severability, and an effective date.
Yeah, motion to approve 6A1.
Dan, would you come up and give us a presentation on this? Oh, we need a second on that first.
Second, please.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Commissioners. Dan Miller, Planning and Zoning. The two items that the city clerk introduced to you tonight are for the downtown mixed-use future land use district. There are two cases. The first is a map amendment, changing the map from the current downtown mixed-use area of approximately 27 acres to about 130 acres. And then the second would be the text amendment, which makes some changes to the wording. What you see in these as presented today is we're looking to continue to encourage economic growth and the overall engagement of our citizens in downtown Leesburg in a live, work, play environment. Under the live example, we have apartments being constructed right now on and soon moving into the Main Street area in the old Butler Chevrolet building. on Magnolia Street. We have a potential for a future proposal for some additional residential uses, actually apartments at the old Lee School site. And we have had recent discussions about potential townhomes to be faced, which would be to be developed, which would face the Magnolia Trail. Under the work part of that live, work, play, we have a lot of employees downtown. We have them at the City Hall here, police and fire headquarters on Magnolia. We have several new restaurants, a variety of retail and office businesses. We have Beacon College anchoring the east side of downtown, and then the reuse of the Tropic Theater. And then finally, under the play portion of the live, work, play idea, we have Veterans Memorial Park and Pond on Meadow Street, 3 pocket parks, thanks to the city's work with Beacon College, and the Magnolia Trail that runs through downtown and connects to other trails in the city, and then Venetian Park and Rogers Park, which is just over the boundaries, and also Dabney Pool area. If you look at all these examples of the live, work, and play, those are all indicators of strong indicators of a healthy and growing downtown. So by expanding the district, what we're trying to do is allow additional opportunities for housing, working, and recreational opportunities in the general area. It will not make a huge change immediately. These kind of things take years to work through. But again, the first case on the map, the first case that Ms. Purvis introduced was the map amendment, which expands the area from the core area in downtown out towards Dixie, back toward the railroad right-of-way, the trail, over past Canal, and then over towards Lee School. So it goes from 27 acres to, I believe it was 130, 131. And then the second one, of course, is the wording to the amendment, which changes the future land use wording. It basically says downtown mixed-use land use category is established to encourage economic activity, living quarters, local employment opportunities within the historic downtown, and it will consist of a variety of retail, convenience, entertainment, personal business, and other professional services, as well as a diversity of housing types and churches. And I can go on with that, but that's about half of it there. And basically what we're trying to do is encourage, what was the phrase that Candy used earlier today, was get cars off the road and feet on the street, something like that. So we're trying to encourage activity downtown. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dan. Any questions from the commissioners or comments?
Dan, I have one question.
Yes, sir.
Are we amending the height restrictions for downtown? And
Not within that at
Okay.
this point.
I mean, I know we could approve, I believe we could approve something outside the standard zoning in a PUD. I just didn't know if we were encouraging, like, I think right now our code, our land is 35 feet or 3 stories or 35 or 40 feet.
I'd have to go back and look it up. And in a PUD, you can go to whatever
Okay,
height.
that answers
And
my question
that's how
right there.
we would deal with that.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I think you know I asked that question.
Yes, sir.
Any other commissioner comments? Any public comments on these items? Seeing none, no other comments from the commissioners? Roll call on 6A1.
Commissioner Peterson?
Yes.
Commissioner Berry? Yes. Commissioner Connell?
Yes.
Commissioner Bury?
Yes.
Mayor Reisman?
Yes. We have a motion on it. We need to.
Oh, yeah. Motion to approve 6A2.
Second.
Any discussion from the commission? Discussion from the public? Seeing none, roll call.
Commissioner Berry?
Yes.
Commissioner Connell?
Yes.
Commissioner Bury?
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson?
Yes.
Mayor Reisman?
Yes. Would someone please introduce 6A, 3, 4, and 5?
I'll introduce 6A, 3, 4, and 5. Ask that they be read by title only.
6A3, an ordinance of the City of Leesburg, Florida, annexing certain real property consisting of approximately 2.82 plus minus acres, being generally located east of Sleepy Hollow Road and south of Park Hill Avenue, lying in Section 29, Township 19 South, Range 25 East, Lake County, Florida. Provided that said property so annexed shall be liable for its proportionate share of the existing and future indebtedness of said city. Providing that such annexed property shall be subject to all laws and ordinances of said city, as if all such territory had been a part of the City of Leesburg at the time of passage and approval of said laws and ordinances. providing that such annexed territory shall be placed in City Commission District 5, and providing an effective date. 6A4, an ordinance amending the future land use map of the comprehensive plan of the City of Leesburg, changing the future land use map designation of certain property containing 2.82 plus minus acres from Lake County Urban Low Density to City of Leesburg SEM, Sunnyside Estates Medium, for property generally located east of Sleepy Hollow Road and south of Park Hill Avenue, lying in Section 29, Township 19 South, Range 25 East, Lake County, Florida, and providing an effective date. 6A5, an ordinance of the City of Leesburg, Florida, changing the zoning on approximately 2.82 plus minus acres from Lake County R1 Rural Residential to City of Leesburg R1 Low Density Residential to allow for residential development for property generally located east of Sleepy Hollow Road and south of Park Hill Avenue, lying in Section 29, Township 19 South, Range 25 East, Lake County, Florida, and providing an effective date.
Motion to approve 6A3.
Second.
Would you come up and give us a presentation? And then if the applicant is here and they want to come up next?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is a quick proposal for an annexation, small-scale comp plan and rezoning on the east side of Sleepy Hollow Road and south of Park Hill Avenue. The request is simply for a straight zoning. It's not a PUD. It would go to City R1, which is low-density residential. They're asking for 8 lots. Basically, if you take the 8 lots north of there and pull them down, essentially that's what you're going to get. 9,000 square feet on these lots, where a R1 minimum is 7, and 2-floor maximum height, 2 parking spaces, the same thing you'll see in often. They have also agreed to signage consisting of a decorative entry feature, and they're offering a children's playground. None of those things are actually required, but they're offering that on the eastern portion of the property. Our dark sky lighting requirements are coming under ordinance changes, so they'll be covered under there if anyone's concerned on that. This also meets the requirement of the city's new comp plan and with the Sunnyside regulations, which were passed in 2024. So it's 8 houses.
Is the applicant here, and would they like to say anything?
It's Mr. Alexander Train. He is here, yes, sir, if you'd like to speak with
Would you
him.
like to say anything? Would you like to say anything? No. Okay. Commissioner comments?
Dan, you said it's the same basic density as the property to the north?
Yes, sir.
And that's county, is it not?
It's, I believe that is county to the north. Anna, we should be able to tell on one of those maps.
Yeah,
Honestly,
it
I
is.
forget, but it's the same density.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any other commissioner comments? Public comments on this item? Seeing none, we'll do roll call.
Commissioner Connell?
Yes.
Commissioner Burry?
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson?
Yes.
Commissioner Berry?
Yes.
Mayor Reisman?
Yes.
Motion to approve 6A4.
Second.
Any commissioner comments on this? Any public comments? Roll call.
Commissioner Burry?
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson?
Yes.
Commissioner Berry?
Yes.
Commissioner Connell?
Yes.
Mayor Reisman?
Yes.
Motion to approve 6A5.
Second.
Commissioner comments? Public comments? Seeing none? Roll call.
Commissioner Peterson?
Yes.
Commissioner Berry?
Yes.
Commissioner Connell?
Yes.
Commissioner Burry?
Yes.
Mayor Reisman?
Yes. So regarding 6A, or 6,
What
6,
do you want
7, and 8, do we need to introduce those and ask to be postponed?
Yes, sir. And in order,
Read it.
yeah, just go ahead and read them, and then if a motion to postpone to a time, date, and location certain
Okay.
would avoid re-advertisement issues.
All right. Would someone please introduce 6A, 6, 7, and 8?
I'll introduce 6A, 6, 7, 8. Ask that they be read by title only.
6A6, an ordinance of the City of Leesburg, Florida, annexing certain real property consisting of approximately 9.94 plus minus acres, being generally located north of Dewey Robbins Road, east of U.S. Highway 27, lying in Section 31, Township 20 South, Range 25 East, Lake County, Florida, provided that said property so annexed shall be liable for its proportionate share of the existing and future indebtedness of said city, provided that such annexed property shall be subject to all laws and ordinances of said city as if all such territory had been a part of the city of Leesburg at the time of passage and approval of said laws and ordinances, providing that such annexed territory shall be placed in City Commission District 3 and providing an effective date. 6A7, an ordinance amending the future land use map of the comprehensive plan of the city of Leesburg, changing the future land use map designation of certain property containing 9.94 plus minus acres from Lake County Rural to City of Leesburg Low Density Residential for property generally located north of Dewey Robbins Road, east of U.S. Highway 27, lying in Section 31, Township 20 South, Range 25 East, Lake County, Florida, and providing an effective date. 6A8, an ordinance of the City of Leesburg, Florida, changing the zoning on approximately 9.94 plus minus acres from Lake County A Agriculture to City of Leesburg SPUD Small Plan Unit Development to allow for 48 townhomes and 15,000 square feet of commercial for property generally located north of Dewey Robbins Road, east of U.S. Highway 27, lying in Section 31, Township 20 South, Range 25 East, Lake County, Florida, and providing an effective date.
So the applicant has asked for this to be postponed until February 24th, and we'll need a motion stating that with here in the City Commission chambers at 5:30 on February 24th.
So moved.
Need a
Second.
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 Any discussion? Roll call.
Commissioner Berry?
Yes.
Commissioner Connell?
Yes.
Commissioner Bury?
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson?
Yes.
Mayor Reesman?
Yes. Would someone please introduce, we're going to first readings, would someone please introduce 6B 1, 2, and 3?
I'll introduce 6B 1, 2, and 3 and ask that they be read by title only.
6B1, an ordinance of the City of Leesburg, Florida, annexing certain real property consisting of approximately 337.15 plus minus acres, being generally located west of Number 2 Road and north of Busby Road, lying in Sections 19 and 30, Township 25 South, Range 20 East, Lake County, Florida, provided that said property so annexed shall be liable for its proportionate share of the existing and future indebtedness of said city, provided that such annexed property shall be subject to all laws and ordinances of said city, as if all such territory had been a part of the city of Leesburg at the time of passage and approval of said laws and ordinances, provided that such annexed territory shall be placed in City Commission District 3 and providing an effective date. 6B2, an ordinance amending the future land use map of the comprehensive plan of the city of Leesburg, changing the future land use map designation of certain property containing 337.15 plus minus acres from Lake County Rural to City of Leesburg Estate Residential for property generally located west of Number 2 Road and north of Busby Road, lying in Sections 19 and 30, Township 25 South, Range 20 East, Lake County, Florida, and providing an effective date. 6B3, an ordinance of the City of Leesburg, Florida, changing the zoning on approximately 337.15 plus minus acres from Lake County A Agriculture to CFD Community Facility District to City of Leesburg PUD Planned Unit Development to allow for 825 single-family residences with accompanying amenities for a property generally located west of Number 2 Road and north of Busby Road, lying in Sections 19 and 30, Township 25 South, Range 20 East, Lake County, Florida, and providing an effective date.
Thank you, Andy. Dan, if you would come up, and then if the applicant has anything after that.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is an overall proposal for an annexation, large-scale comp plan, and rezoning consisting of 337 plus or minus acres generally located on the west side of Number 2 Road and north of Busby Road. Again, it's annexation, large-scale comp plan, and PUD zoning. The request would be for 825 detached single-family residences and associated amenities. On the large-scale comp plan, the request would be to change the future land use from Lake County Rural to City of Leesburg Estate. And on the rezoning, the request would be to change the zoning from Lake County Agriculture and Community Facilities District to City of Leesburg PUD Planned Unit Development. Under the PUD requirements, there are several lot sizes. Again, 825 single-family residences with no other uses would be permitted. There are lot sizes consisting of 50, 60, 70, and 145-foot lots with graduated house sizes for 1,700, 18, 19, and 2,000 respectively as they go up by lot size. 2 floors being the maximum height. We do have their standard architectural standards. Facades are shown in Exhibit D with the dark sky lighting, trees requirement in each yard, 35% of the property being in open space. 25-foot landscape buffer is required along the entirety of the property boundaries. There is a 100-foot landscape buffer along number 2 road, and the 25 feet closest of that 100-foot buffer, the 25 feet closest to the residential lots have to be planted, as you'll see in Exhibit, I believe that's Exhibit G. There's a split rail fence or opaque 4-foot plank fence required along Busby Road. Sidewalk requirements throughout the development. Of course, the usual Bahia or Bermuda instead of St. Augustine grass, which uses a lot of water. All the main access points are required to be boulevard-type roadways and a landscape median of at least 8 feet in width connecting them to allow, and those boulevard roadways are to allow emergency access to get there. Of course, the signage is our decorative entry feature, 5 feet minimum height on each side of the driveway. There's 3.92, basically 4 acres of recreation required in 2 separate recreation areas set aside for swimming pool, playground, dog parks, gazebos, and those types of things. Then there's a walking trail provided around the wetlands in the northeast corner. Of course, we do have the phasing clause, which has been required by this commission for not quite a year now, but I think that's working out quite well. It requires the substantial commencement within 4 years, or the property automatically reverts to the RE1, which is 1 acre per unit. This project has been to the Florida Department of Commerce, and they came back to us with no substantive comments on it. All development does have to be on city water and wastewater. There's no wells or septics allowed. Finally, Ms. Tara Tedrow of Lowndes, Doster, Cantor, and Reed in Orlando is here to represent the case if you have any further questions.
Did the applicant have a presentation at all? Thank you, Dan.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening, Tara Tedrow, Lowndes Law, 2 and 5 North Yola Drive, here on behalf of the applicant. We have a presentation. I know it's by title only. Happy to do the presentation if you'd like us to tonight, or save it for a second reading.
I talked with them, so I'm okay.
Okay, they would like to see it.
Okay, great. I think there's a...
Excuse me, Tara. We'll get you a pointer. I need to correct my statement. I said it had been to Florida Commerce. It has not. I've got so many cases going on. That went through my head. My apologies.
Because this one will have to go.
Dan, do you all have it?
We'll do that.
Let's see. If not, I'll just have to... Thank you. Oh, it does? Okay. Let's see. Maybe. This is feeling like an IQ test I'm not passing.
No, it's not gonna...
I'll just do the scroll with you. Okay, thank you very much. We could go down to 2 down more from here for project overview. Your staff already gave you all an overview of where the project site is located. You can see that there's access off of Busby Road and number 2 Road, and it also has Watson Road, also adjacent to the property site. It's approximately 2 miles north of Dewey Robbins Road, and we have held 2 community meetings to date. We held those back on 4/17 and 6/12 of last year. There was a bit of a lag where we had submitted everything, held the community meetings, made revisions to our plans, but then ended up putting a postponement until we had our last hearing before your Planning Commission. The proposed project includes an annexation, a future land use amendment, and a rezoning. Currently, the project site is within Lake County. If you see on the next aerial page, it shows what the current Lake County future land use designation is of rural. The next slide will show you that the zoning on the property is Community Facility District and Agriculture, with a majority of the project site being within that CFD zoning within Lake County's plan. CFD zoning does allow for a number of different uses under the current designation. Everything from an assisted living facility, community residential homes, schools, daycares, dorms, nursing homes, professional offices, and colleges and universities are permitted by right today under the Lake County zoning designation. Of course, our request would bring this under the jurisdiction of the city and your regulations as well. You can see that this is the current City of Leesburg zoning map showing that all the properties are city PUDs in orange. We meet the threshold requirements under Florida Statutes Chapter 171 for an annexation. There's also a 2014 interlocal service boundary agreement between the city and Lake County. Our properties are specifically identified on the exhibits to that agreement as properties that are eligible for annexation into the City of Leesburg for the provision of services. So in order for there to be development of the project site, that annexation is required as a threshold matter. But again, we meet both statutory requirements for annexation, given our contiguity to other existing city properties, as well as the fact that this has been contemplated by both the city and the county for annexation since 2014 under that agreement. We can go on to the next slide. So this just shows you the site plan details that we have. The current site plan, as you heard from your staff, has a variety of different types of housing product on the site. We did make changes to this plan from the first time that we had brought it to the public's attention at our community meeting to what you see today. Some of those significant changes include that we added the 1-acre lots along Number 2 Road. The biggest issue that we heard from residents during the community meetings was that they wanted Number 2 Road to have 1-acre lots. They wanted there to be specific architectural design standards. They wanted us to preserve a 100-foot setback, which included 85 feet of mature tree line. They wanted us to have split rail fencing, and all of that we went back and changed the plan to include. We changed the lot sizes as well. One of the specific requests was for us to put a variety of different lot sizes along the internal street network. So we changed the end cap to have some of the larger lots on street end caps. We were also asked to put larger lots around all perimeters of the subject property as well. So we did increase the sizes of the lots that are on the perimeters. We increased the size of obviously the lots that were along Number 2 Road. We respected the buffer requests from the neighbors. We also removed access entirely from Number 2 Road. So the plan was changed to have that access be routed through Whispering Hills to 27. So that is a request that, of course, is going to put the onus on the developer that we are either going to build if we go ahead of Whispering Hills and their project, or we would tie in through a boulevard access point on our property to the already contemplated access points through Whispering Hills. So one way or another, we would have to make sure that sufficient access would exist to get us out to a roadway that was not Number 2 Road, because that was the biggest complaint that we heard from the residents, is that they did not want us to put any vehicles onto Number 2 Road. So we were agreeable to redesigning our plan and putting, again, a bigger risk on the developer of us having to go through and jump through much larger hoops and greater costs for us to do that, but allowing for a better plan that the residents were able to say that they accepted and that we were able to bring before you today. If you go to the next slide, please. Again, you can see some of the highlighted areas of where that mature tree line, as well as where the 1-acre lots that were added onto our property for the PUD itself. The next slide, please. And this shows you the open space plan. So today, the site would be required to have 35% open space. If we were in the county, we're proposing 39% open space on the property. And you heard from Dan that 4 acres has to be a combination of active and passive recreation of that overall 39% that's being presented on the plan we have today. So it's a mix of having a clubhouse, a pool area with designated parking. You have dog parks. You have some passive recreational areas, tot lots, but then you also have in our existing preserved wetland conservation area on the project site, you can see that's in the upper left corner of the PUD plan, that we also have low impact nature trails going through that wetland area in order to have a walking park area for the residents as well. This shows you a street buffer view shed from number 2 road. So this was what we had proposed to the residents of split rail fences along number 2 road, so that as you're driving past our project site, we would have the enhanced buffer of the 15-foot landscape with buffer and the split rail fence closest to the road, but that we would keep in place the 85-foot width of existing vegetation, which has some very nice large mature trees there. So that tree line essentially blocks the view shed of the property itself. But if you were to see the houses that we were building along number 2 road through the trees, the next slide shows you what that elevation and the required facades for those homes facing number 2 road were. We were asked to put a more rural character, so what has been presented and included as conceptual renderings in the PUD ordinance itself has these types of required facades for the properties. Next slide shows you the review criteria that your staff went through and the analysis that they did in making a recommendation for approval. We also similarly received a unanimous approval for recommendation from your Planning Commission. The next slide shows you that there is an analysis about project compatibility. The projects that are closest to us, both Whispering Hills and Eagle Tail, both have a similar density that's being proposed at 2.4 units per acre is what the PUD would cap it at. So if you look from a compatibility analysis, those directly adjacent projects have similar size lots as well as a similar density to what is being proposed today. If you go down, you can see too that there were multiple, next slide, please. There were multiple criteria in terms of your consistency with your comprehensive plan elements, the objectives that your staff did an analysis of in terms of diversity of housing, a sustainable type of development, land use compatibility. All of those were looked at and reviewed by your professional staff when they rendered their recommendation. The next slide also shows you that the recommendation found that the proposed request for a PUD is compatible with the current surrounding zoning districts, that it's compatible with the proposed future land use designation, and it does not appear to create any detriment to surrounding properties based on the location and the proximity to future compatible development. Next slide, please. Also, your staff's recommendation also included that we meet the requirements of Chapter 163 Florida statutes, that it's compatible with adjacent future land use designations. With our proposed zoning of PUD, we've met the criteria necessary for that, and is consistent with the city's growth management plan. The next slide is, if there's any questions, more than happy to answer those. Of course, if there's any members of the public here who we've not yet had a chance to talk to before tonight's hearing and have any comments, I'd appreciate the opportunity to come back and respond.
Thank you, Ms. Tedrow.
Thank you.
Any commission comments on this?
Question for Dan, I think.
Okay.
Just the requirements for this particular PUD.
Yes, sir.
If we compare those to the requirements we had for Whispering Hills, because the entryway this is kind of like Whispering Hills too, really.
In a way, you could say that, because this development depends on the success of Whispering Hills. It doesn't happen if Whispering Hills doesn't happen, or this developer has to choose to bring all the money to build the roads through Whispering Hills, so they still have to work with them one way or another.
Right. So my question is, are there differences, substantial differences in requirements? Because we did Whispering Hills 4 years ago, or
3
years ago,
something like that. Yeah.
But I mean, I just want to make sure we get everything.
This is very complimentary. I would say that this one does have the 100-foot lots, and I believe Whispering Hills had a few on the number 2 road side, if I remember correctly.
They had a bigger buffer.
And this one has some really nice architectural designs that we have found.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Dan, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
The present zoning in the county is ag.
Mhm.
And the density on that in the county, if it was developed for houses?
Usually that's, at ag's going to be 1 unit per 5 acres.
So if it was developed in the county, they would get 68 homes?
67, 68, yes, sir. I believe that.
Okay.
I did the math earlier today, if I remember right.
And they're asking for 825.
That is correct.
So a difference of 757 units.
Yes, sir.
Versus if it developed in the county or under what they're proposing to come to the city.
Yes, sir.
It's a huge difference in the amount of units.
It is, yes, sir.
67 to 825. Wow. Okay.
Okay.
Any other commissioner comments? Dan, one thing I just
Yes,
caught
sir.
in the agenda, in the PUD, And I know we had talked about it, I think it just got missed. We talked about adding aeration and fountains to all ponds.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
If this,
That was something that has been spoken about recently, and I think we built this PUD probably
Prior to
off
that,
of
yeah.
Whispering Hill. So we will add
just want to make sure we capture that.
the requirement for sprinklers in wet ponds. It just depends on, because you don't always know until
Correct.
it's built, will it be wet or dry? The engineering's done. But yes, sir, we will add that to those.
Thank you. Any public comments on these items? Oh, sorry, Commissioner Peterson.
Comment. First of all, I like the 100-foot buffer. I was just going to throw it out there. I don't know where the other commissioners stand, but with the 100-foot buffer, I don't care if there's a fence or not, and I don't know how other people feel. That's just my opinion.
Thank you.
Any other commissioner comments? Public comments on these items? If you would, just state your name and address for the record.
My name is Mario Napa, 27548 Stony Brook Drive, Leesburg. First of all, I'd like to commend the developer for working with the community and keeping the traffic off of number 2 road, because number 2 road really can't handle it. My main comment is, I don't have the number in front of me, but I can come up with it if you like. There's probably about 10,000 homes that are going to be dumping onto Route 27 between the Turnpike entrance at 27 and Route 48. And if you count all the roads that are going to be all the homes that are going to be impacting it from the villages and all the new developments on Route 48, probably another 6,000 or 7,000 there. So I think now is the time to start thinking about approaching the MPO in the state of widening Route 27 to 6 lanes from 4. You got 6 lanes in Claremont, you got 6 lanes in Fruitland Park and Lady Lake. And I know it's going to be painful coming through Leesburg, especially in the Main Street area and Dixie Avenue. But now is the time to start thinking about having some action in that area. And maybe Commissioner Berry can, when he approaches the MPO, I'm going to do so next month or at the next public meeting and discuss this, because we can't have all these homes going in and 27 remaining the way it is, because it's going to be bottlenecked. That's my only comment.
Thank you, sir. Any other comments from the public? Sorry, did you have something to say, Grant?
No, I was just going to remind the commission that for item 6B2, since this is a large-scale comprehensive plan, that there would need to be a vote on a motion to transmit to the reviewing agencies.
Thank you. Before we do that, any other comments before the commission? Yes, as Grant said, we need to have a motion to submit or not to submit, so.
So moved if the motion's adequate.
We can do that in the middle.
Yeah. Just to clarify, is that a motion to transfer to the reviewing agencies?
So moved. Thank
Yes,
you.
sir. Yep. All good.
And I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second on transmitting to the state. Roll call. Sorry.
I was just going to say, that's a lot of units. It's so much higher than you could get if they developed in the county. You're talking 60 to 800. I just think it should just be turned down right now and not even submitted.
Any other comments from the commissioners? Move to roll call.
Commissioner Connell,
No.
Commissioner Berry,
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson,
Yes.
Commissioner Berry,
Yes.
Mayor Eastman.
Yes. C, non-routine items, we have none. 7, informational reports. We have none. City attorney items.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Very briefly, at the last meeting, the commission gave us a little bit of leeway on the Blue Rock closing for the airport parcel across the street from the airport. It looks like we are going to be able to get that wrapped up by the end of the week. So I just wanted to update everybody on that. We did get the last document recorded at the tail end of last week. So Mr. Mayor will be in touch here when we have the closing documents ready, just so we can get that signed up. But otherwise, everything's good, and just glad to see everybody and look forward to seeing you next time.
Thank you, Grant. City manager items.
None.
Roll call.
Commissioner Peterson,
Nothing tonight.
Commissioner Berry,
Yes, I have a few things. I would like to first say I'm really excited about seeing the initiative to amend the future land use map of the comprehensive plan and the impacts of District 1, 4, and 5, and that we're all in agreement, so that's a plus. And I also would like to say that the kudos to the Martin Luther King group again, and for another successful parade, as well as for Simone and Artists with a Purpose for the Soul Fest activities after the event on Saturday. Nice, very nice turnout. And also for the opening of the Melon Patch Theater on Friday night with Ben Hur. Very funny, must go see and support, and looking forward to other plays to come to the area. Thank you.
Commissioner Connell? Commissioner Burry?
Yeah, I had just a couple of things. I think if you guys had a chance, Al sent an email out regarding kind of Holiday Inn-ish. I've had questions from folks. The old Holiday Inn, which is the Stay and Save, it's been an on-again, off-again project. This is the hotel, Griffin Road in 27, and I just wanted kind of an update what's going on now. We all got that information. Al, do you recall exactly? It was commercial space is going to go in the old building. Then it's going to be apartments upstairs and potential commercial downstairs in the buildings that are where the hotels were.
60 apartment units and different mixes of stuff.
Right, but I just wanted the public to know, because I do get questions on that every once in a while. I also kind of wanted to update on the Lee School property, kind of where we are. And Al explained to me that that's going to be coming to us pretty soon with a
First reading of the PUD mod will be next meeting, the 10th.
Excellent. Good.
And hey, does that go right to second reading on the 24th then, or does that hold over?
There's no comp plan amendment involved with that, as long as the future land use change for the downtown mixed use goes through, then this goes straight through as a zoning. So yes.
Because it's a potential use already. Gotcha. Perfect. Okay, and then the last thing, I just want to keep up with the Venetian Isles, I think is the name of it, the Marriott property. We had extended,
Yeah, you all
Just an update.
You all extended the development bond on that. I can't remember what that was in the amount of. Do you remember, Grant? Was it 250, half a mil, something like that?
Seemed like I don't remember the number off the top of my head. It was a good number. It was a pretty big.
Electric
number,
department is
was a 2-year
making improvements and getting ready to help them build the apartment complex, which we anticipate will go up. I think at the end of the day, that issue of the bond expiring will probably be on your desk again, because the way the development order reads between the developer and the electric department is that they're required to build the infrastructure, and that was the hotel, the commercial pad sites, and there was a number of buildings. I want to say there were 9 buildings or so in that commercial PUD. In all honesty, I don't think they will meet the requirements of that agreement and your expansion unless they start moving faster than the villages. So that'll be on your desk again, and to consider whether you want to grant them another extension, or Grant and I will talk, but that might be something where we might just want to scratch that agreement and start anew. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there. So we've got, I think you guys extended that back in the summer, so August, June, July.
2 years.
Okay, I was going to say, I thought it was 2 years. Okay.
So it's got another, healthy year on it anyway.
And that's all I have.
Mayor Reisman?
I have a few. I'll save the fun stuff for last. I'm getting a lot of requests for statements regarding growth, development, things like that. I wanted to see if the commission agrees we could ask the city manager to create a draft statement on behalf of the commission, so we can have like a united front on what our beliefs are on that. That way, when we get asked, we can present that. I wanted to see if the commission would be okay with having the city manager do that.
It depends on what you mean beliefs. Obviously, we have different beliefs when it comes to development, so I would probably object to that if it appears that I'm in agreement with some of the stuff that goes on here.
I think we could maybe see what the city manager comes up with and
Yeah, I
present it to
think,
us.
you know, so this has been brought up to me by a few of the commissioners. You get consistent media requests about growth. I think most of your answers are typically the same. I'm happy to draft a statement for you, bring it to this body, and you all vote on it. And I think that's where the mayor's headed. So if you all don't agree on it or what have you, but I think, you know, a joint statement would obviously need to be reviewed by the body. You all vote on it. If you all agree on it, then that's the statement. If you don't, there'll be various parts of it or however we can modify it. But I'm happy to put something together and bring it to you the next meeting, if that's where y'all want to go.
Question, may we look at this after you provide the listings of where we are with growth comparisons? You
What
were
do you
saying
ref-
earlier
what do-
for
what
in
do you
the
call it,
county,
the listing?
where we are for the other cities in the counties. I thought you mentioned earlier about just where we are for us growth, number 1, number 3, number 4.
I think she's referring to the presentation you're doing next month.
Yeah.
I can get you out a draft statement.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they need to correspond
Well, just
exactly
have an
because
idea
they're
where the
around.
growth,
I can
you know.
get you an idea.
Okay.
But why don't I'll send out a draft statement to y'all, take a look at it and email me back separately. And then, you know, if I get 3 people that say, yay, we love this, I'll have it on the agenda. If y'all say, no, this is horrible, then I won't. Is that reasonable?
Yeah, and I'm just on the same subject matter. I'm fine with you having a summation, but I'm also well aware that all our commissioners have a voice, and just because someone may not agree with what others agree with, that should not be seen as a muzzle or that they went along with it. I think everybody should be able to have their opinion about that.
Yeah.
I think that's real important.
And that can be worded in the statement as well.
Exactly.
Upcoming events I wanted to let the commissioners know is February 1st is the Fishers of Men, the North Florida Bass Tournament at the Venetian Gardens. And on February 8th, hope to see you out at the Leesburg Airport from 10 to 2 for the food truck fly-in. We have 10 food trucks, so they'll be in our parking lot. And then we had like 60 to 80 aircraft show up last time, and we're anticipating more. Hope to see you out there. And then also on Friday night, I had the pleasure of attending opening night with Commissioner Burry and our city manager and their spouses of the Melon Patch. It was a great night. I also attended Saturday and Sunday and spoke and kind of listened to the feedback from the people that attended. And it was a wide variety of Leesburg, surrounding residents, and villages. And they were very appreciative that the city of Leesburg invested in the arts, and they are excited about it. And they said they love the villages, but they like getting out of the villages, and they are excited about coming to downtown Leesburg. They think our downtown is phenomenal, and they are excited about everything that is happening. With that is my final motion to adjourn.
Second.
Meeting adjourned.